Hello everybody, how's it going today? Joe Bodone here, internet entrepreneur and video blogger. Today I want to discuss with my audience about a little concept that I call belief. Now, when it comes to generating money and becoming an entrepreneur and realizing success, I also believe, the other day I talked about, your want, your reason why you're doing it, and that's obviously the number one component. If you don't have a want, you're not going to succeed. But I think very close to that is also the component of belief, okay? And belief is, a concept that it's kind of abstract in a certain sense because it can apply to belief in yourself and it can also apply to belief in the end result. In this case, I'm talking about belief in the end result. So a little analogy I can use is if you look at somebody who's working a 9 to 5 and they're working a regular job, trading their time for their money, there's an agreed upon amount of money that's going to be rewarded to the worker for doing a certain amount of work, right? So if you put a week's worth of work in, you're going to get paid for that week's worth of work, whatever agreed upon amount that is. And everybody that's in the workforce goes to work under the assumption that they're going to get paid at the end of that period, and they have belief that they're going to get paid. Now, what if you took away that belief? Just think about that for a minute. Let's say you heard a rumor that the upper management of your company ran out of money and nobody was getting paid that week. And, you did some research and you found out that it was true and you did not believe that you were going to get paid. It would be a lot harder to wake up and go to work, would it not? I mean, it would be very difficult to go to work knowing or at least not believing that you're going to get paid. So when it comes to generating wealth online, it's a little bit different than that because there is no guarantee. There is no agreed upon, set amount of money or there's not an agreed upon amount of work you need to do to get paid when you become an entrepreneur and especially in the online realm. So, there is no guarantees. So the only way that you can generate this belief system is by actually, somehow coming in your mind that it's possible you can believe that you will be successful. Now, you see here I got a Rubiks Cube, and while I continue to talk, I'm going to work on something here real quick, and, don't get distracted by the Rubiks Cube because this actually has a point, and I guess I might as well delve into this right now. Now, I'm using this as an analogy for belief, okay? So the story I'm going to give you, some of it's fiction, but that doesn't matter. When I was a child, at some point in my childhood, I think I was like 5 or 6, I acquired a Rubiks Cube. I think my parents might have bought me one for Christmas or something like that, right? And I started playing with it as a kid, and I was unsuccessful. I played with it over and over again, and I was just kind of randomly turning it and spinning it and, thinking I was going to be able to figure it out. And at that point in time, I'd never been shown how to do it, and I had never seen anyone that knew how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And remind you, this was back in the 80s, so there wasn't a such thing as YouTube. There wasn't a way I can go online and find somebody to teach me how to do something. I basically was going to have to either figure it out on my own, or I was going to have to, find somebody I knew that knew how to solve the Rubik's Cube. So what ended up happening, as, any child would do, I got frustrated. So what I did is I ripped off all the stickers and I put it together, and I was like, hey, Dad, look, I solved it, right? My dad I don't know if he got mad at me, but he kind of was like disappointed in me, and, he took the Rubik's Cube away from me. I didn't have a Rubik's Cube to use anymore. Now, as a kid, it was like, oh, man, I was disappointed, but then I thought about it, and, I had no satisfaction at all by placing the stickers randomly on the Rubik's Cube, and that just, you don't get any satisfaction out of that. And more importantly, none of my friends knew how to solve one. None of my relatives knew how to solve one. So I had the belief system that it was impossible to solve a Rubik's Cube. And, I went through a good portion of my life under that assumption. And, in the 80s, these things were all over the place. So, whenever I'd go over to one of my friends' houses or one of my cousins' houses, there'd be a Rubik's Cube sitting around. And, I'd always pick it up and just toy around with it and play with it a little bit. But, I never saw somebody successfully solving it. So I generated a belief system. I generated a paradigm in my mind, that it is impossible to solve the Rubik's Cube. I thought it was a sham. There's no one, nobody knows how to do this. You got to be a genius. You got to be a savant. There's nobody that's smart enough to figure this out. You got to be Einstein to figure this out. And, I went through a good portion of my life young adulthood under that belief, but it was so insignificant that I didn't really, it wasn't like I focused on it. It wasn't like I was all disappointed because I didn't solve the Rubik's Cube. But what did happen was I was in my 30s and I went to a party with one of my buddies and went over there, and there was this guy that, I'm still acquaintance with. I went over there and I watched him solve the Rubik's Cube in about, 25 seconds, and my mind was blown, like, oh my God. Like, not only had I never seen anyone do it before, but I also, had never seen anyone do it that fast. So I thought, oh my God, this guy has to be a genius. He has to have something inside him, that's better than me, that, he can solve it that quick. And so, I sat down and I picked his brain. I was like, hey man, how'd you do that? And he goes, it's really not that hard. I'm like, what do you mean it's not that hard? That's crazy. I can't believe you could do that. And he's like, look man, it's just a bunch of simple steps that you need to memorize. And once you memorize them, you can solve the cube. I'm like, no, it can't be that easy. And at that point, my belief system, the paradigm of solving the Rubik's Cube had changed in my mind. Okay, suddenly there was something that I didn't think could be done, but it can be done extremely easily. Okay, and I know that might not have looked easy, but it's pretty easy, trust me. So the concept is that my paradigm changed, and all of a sudden I saw that I could solve this. And so what did I do? I got home from that party. I was up all night, like, oh my God, Rubik's Cube. Like, I was so excited about it. It was kind of ridiculous, if you think about it. It's kind of childish in a way, but I was so excited about it. So first thing I did in the morning, I woke up, I took my shower. It was like a Saturday morning. I went to a store in Michigan we have called Meijer, and I went in there, and it's basically like a store that sells just about everything. I went over to the toy section. I bought a Rubik's Cube for like $8 or whatever they cost. Came home and started combing the internet. And like I said, in the 80s, there was no such thing as YouTube. There was no such thing as the internet. But now I went through and I found some videos. I learned how to do it. And, I watched videos, and I saved like 3 or 4, I bookmarked them, and I was watching them over and over and over again just to learn. It took me several weeks to go through the process, to learn the steps. And as I learned the steps, I began to memorize the steps. And as I began to memorize the steps, I would, kind of do it for, like 3 or 4 times. I'd set it down, then I'd try it the next day. And before I knew it, I was able to just do it. And then I'd set it down for like a month. I'd pick it up, and I'd have to go back to the videos. Sooner or later, it got ingrained in my mind, and I learned how to do it. And, so I went through the process. Well, first off, I saw that it could be done. Then I generated the belief that, oh, wow, this can be done. And then I went through the process and learned how to do it. And after I learned how to do it, I went on to learn some of the more complex, like the 5x5, and, there's various shaped cubes. And I learned to, in using the exact same process I use here, because I was like, well, but then it was like, well, if I knew how to do this, I can do the next step up, right? And building a online business and generating wealth online is very similar to that concept, because you need to have that belief in your mind that you can do it. Now, I'm not a genius, trust me. I'm not a genius. I was like a B.C. student in college. I got decent grades in high school, but in college I was like a B and C student. And I struggled. I grew up. As a child, I had a learning disability. So, by no stretch of imagination am I like a genius. But I went through the process. I learned how to do this, just as I'm going through the process and learning how to generate wealth online. And you very well can do the exact same thing using the same steps. Now, just for fun, I'm going to make another video down the line. I might not do it today, but I'm going to make an online video tutorial, just teach everyone how to do a Rubik's Cube. That's just a fun thing. It's kind of give you a break from grinding it out and trying to be trying to generate you're trying to grow your internet business. So that was just a little fun video I'm going to add, maybe in a week or so. So that'll be kind of neat to add. Hopefully you guys will get some enjoyment out of that. And also I want to do that not just to show off my skills, because that's not what I'm trying to do. I want to do it as almost a symbol to show every one of you. If you don't know how to solve, if you do know how to solve it, that's awesome. That's great. It's not that big of a deal. But if you don't, I want to teach you that yes, you can solve this, and then I want you to apply that same concept, that same principle to your business, because that's all it is, okay? You need to believe. This is your symbol of belief. You need to believe that you can do it, and if you believe that you're going to be successful, if you believe that you're going to put the work, if you believe that you can achieve the success you're looking for, you'll put the work in. You'll do the work necessary, and it basically just comes down to simply that. Now, if you think about it, though, there's going to be some barriers, and making content for me is not that big of a deal. I can stand in front of my iPhone and I can do this all day long, and I can make videos and I can talk to my audience and I can edit it out and I can put it in. That stuff is just a matter of taking the time and doing it. Now, but sooner or later when you're doing an online business, the rubber meets the road, okay? And there's going to be a point where you're going to have to pay for some money. You're going to have to pay for something. You're going to actually have to have physical money, and you're going to have to buy a website. You're going to have to pay for marketing. You're going to have to spend some money. You're going to have to maybe buy a course or pay a coach and, pay for some mentorship. And, some money, you're going to have to shell money out. And you just need to understand this. But the money you're going to shell out to build an online business is, $300 here, $400 here, maybe $1,000 there for a course or something like that. But, in terms of that versus like a brick and mortar business, I mean, brick and mortar business, you're spending $500,000, $500,000, to build a store and get inventory and hire staff and do all the stuff involved with a regular traditional business. So, I mean, the amount you spend to build an online business is insurmountable compared to like a real brick and mortar business. And, but you're still, I mean, if you're somebody who's really struggling, I know you're probably saying, well, Joe, I don't have any money at all. I don't have any money at all. Well, okay, and if you don't, then I suggest you, get a regular job and try to get some money. And, I can try to give you some resources to help you out there. But think about it. You're putting food on your table, hopefully. If you're not, then, seriously reach out to me. I'll try to find you some help if you can't afford food. But, you're probably putting food on your table. You're probably, you probably got a roof over your head. You're probably paying rent, or even living on somebody's couch. You have a roof over your head. You might find money to buy some beer on the weekends. You might find money for entertainment. The money you spend there, you can spend $300 to build a website. You can spend $400 on a marketing campaign. You can spend $1,000 on an internet course, and over time, and, but you're not going to spend that money if you don't have the belief. Because if you, deep down in your mind, don't think that you're going to be successful, if you don't think you're going to succeed, that means you don't have the belief, and therefore, you're not going to spend that extra money. But the reality, you got to think about it. How that dream that I talked about in one of my other videos, that why you're doing this, that where you want to be, that when I had that showing your destination, where you are now and where you want to be, and that whole delta between, those two points in the universe. I mean, when I went through that whole video, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That right there, you're not going to get there without belief, period. It's not going to happen because you're over here, belief is, I remember I was talking about there's vehicles to get you there. Belief, I wouldn't say is the vehicle, it's the train track, it's the trail, it's the road. If you don't have the belief to get you there, you might as well just, hang up the hat now. So there's a lot of exercises you can do, and I'll get that into later videos on how you can generate belief and how you can, train your mind and change your mindset, because, in all intents and purposes, it really is a leap of faith. So go out there, get where you want to be, get that belief, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.